Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chakra Alchemy. And it's absolutely a pleasure to have Lara Waldman with us today. Lara is a deep seated healer, and I've actually experienced her healing work. It's absolutely amazing energy work. She also helps people, she's an abundance activator, and she helps people to actually find the abundance within their lives energetically and bring it out into the physical world, but also with a really keen eye on in terms of money manifestation and how they can actually bring abundance to their money manifestation. She works really closely with heart-centered businesses and soul entrepreneurs, and also basically people who actually have a really conscious awareness of what they want to bring into the world. So Lara, is absolutely a pleasure. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to speak with you all today.
So today, basically, we're going to actually take the lens in and really shine it in on what abundance looks like for each of our chakras and each of our energy centers, and when we're actually bringing that perception of abundance into our lives through these energy centers, how that looks and how that comes out, basically. So we'll start from the base and we'll move up and we'll see what unfolds with this conversation. And just to preempt that as well, I'm a chakra alchemist, and I really look at bridging the gap between people and their energy, basically, and how they use their energy in really practical and pragmatic ways in the world, and how energy works for them, and also how they can expand their energy to actually bring the best of themselves to us and to the world. So, yeah, I'm really happy to be having this conversation about abundance, because energy is infinite and energy is ultimately abundant. So, it's actually bringing our perception and our mindset to really click in with that. So we're going to start with the base chakra, and the base chakra is really about our sense of physicality. It's about our bodies. It's about how we actually show up in a physical way in the world, how we embody our lives. And also, it really incorporates things like money, because it incorporates our sense of belonging and our sense of rootedness, how we take care of ourselves in the world on a physical level. And this is an area for a lot of people, and I would say myself included, where it kind of gets a little touchy, because it's kind of, we can have really grand ideas, but then how do we plant them and root them in physical reality? So when we talk about abundance and the physical aspects of abundance, what comes up for you basically with that? Because this is an area that you work really closely with people.
Yeah, and it's the area that I personally found the most challenging as well. So it's something I'm working with myself all the time, even this week. So for me, how I see it, how I'm shown it, at least with the people that are drawn into my work, is that people are often in hiding.
Yeah.
That people have, I think, often very sensitive, empathic people find it quite intense to be really in the body and on the planet, because we feel everything so intensely. And I know myself, I spent the first part of my life just not even here. I was up there somewhere. And so for me and for many people that I see, this is about really showing up fully in your body, in your life, and being really present with life. And I don't know about you, but I find that quite an intense experience. So what I've noticed is, in terms of the actual physicalization of money or abundance, it's about really being willing to show up and be present and get rooted and land here.
Yes.
So for me, this is the deeper reason why we might not, because of this real fear of pain, fear of feelings we don't want to fear of being hurt. Mine personally was a persecution fear of being attacked, and just that it's too much, especially when you're deeply sensitive. So that's what I see is what stops us.
Yes.
The kind of the challenge and the main theme that comes up again and again, at least in my sessions.
Yeah. One of the things that was really coming forward with that is basically how we almost need, not even almost, we need to carve our own way and perception and understanding of what is right for us when it comes to that kind of abundance piece in our physical world. Because if we would like to look at media and the way that that's being represented at the moment, or maybe what we were shown from our parents, etc., it might not sit right with us. That might not be our way. That might not be our walk. And so it's really important to actually figure out exactly what is our particular walk in this, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's really important.
Yeah.
But I see a lot of people getting confused, especially with welcoming money into their life. It's like, well, I don't want to be that, rich, greedy person, or,
Yeah.
and it's so true. We need to get really in touch with, what is your truth? What do you want to experience? What's abundance for you?
Yes.
Because actually what that is different for each and every one of us.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. And it's just that sort of sacredness of money as well, because that is not a piece we're taught, exactly what you were saying. That kind of money grabbing bitch element of money is kind of like a lot in the psyche for a lot of people, that gold diggery kind of aspect of it. But when we actually are using money for, on a high perception level, when we're using it for the greatest good, there's a sacredness to money, and that's part of kind of where the light needs to be shone. I feel is that kind of way that money could be used in a way for really good things in the world, but it can also be used really sacredly for us ourselves to bring our world, our work out into the world in a really expansive kind of way.
Absolutely, and that's it. I think this is about birthing your gifts into the physical, so that people can receive them, experience them,
Yes.
Be involved in them somehow.
Yes.
And if we're all in the etheric, it's really hard for people to access what you have to offer. But when you were speaking, just the other thing that really comes up on the base chakra that I hear a lot of women asking for in terms of abundance is this feeling of safety and security.
Yes.
And actually, I mean, this for me was totally missing. I was like, oh my God, there's no foundation to land into. So that it didn't feel safe to be here. I feel that in terms of abundance and financial abundance, it's about creating a foundation for you to land into, to feel safe and to be held, really. So I think that core desire that we all crave on some level, to feel safe, to feel secure. And that goes beyond money. That's something deeper, but we can include money as a way to give yourself that nurturing, really. For me, that's the self-love piece, isn't it? That you love yourself enough to have a strong, safe, secure foundation to fall into or lean into.
Absolutely. And it takes the energy and the work to really, or the focus, I should say, to really see that as an important piece, basically, and to put the attention into that, which is where your work comes in, because it really hones people into that. So if we move the energy up to the sacral chakra, which is our creative zone, it's also our emotional and our feeling body. And exactly like you were saying previously, it's a part that a lot of us tend to sometimes avoid, because especially when we're empaths, that sense of really feeling quite deeply can actually then be perceived as a problem. But when we open that out and we open it and expand it out in a more expansive way, what comes up for you with regards to the sacral?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm just so loving this center right now. And well, when you were talking about the sacredness of money, for me, this is about the sacredness of this area.
Yes.
And, we have, for example, I think money and sex are very interconnected. So you can have a really awful sexual experience that's painful and abusive, or you can have a total expansive, enlightened, tantric, awesome, mind-blowing sexual experience. And there's the same thing for me with money. And that it's possible to have this gorgeous, incredible experience of money. And for me, the sacral is like this incredible cave filled with jewels and just, it's so juicy and amazing. And that's really what I've been playing with a lot, is deep diving into the cave and discovering the hidden gems and the hidden jewels that are there. So almost how I experience it, or I'm shown it, is like this cave of wealth, this wealth cave that's just sitting there waiting to be discovered. And so many of us have cut off and shut off from this part of our body, and I actually think it's a hugely powerful center.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge navigational tool for us as well. I mean, that gut instinct is no joke, it's actually a real thing. Yeah. And so shutting off from that shuts us off from that sort of feeling level of that. And also the feeling level of our body as well, because so many of us kind of can be in our heads. And I know for me, pulling it back to the sensations of the feeling of the body as a tuning fork. And also the tuning fork that leads us towards our abundance as well. Because a lot of times when we get that sort of closed-mindedness thing that comes up, we actually then close that sort of creative center up, don't we? We kind of put walls around that creative center because we sort of think, well, this is what we can have and this is what we're allowed, sort of thing.
Yeah, and we know what that looks like for women. Like when you get all cramped and tight up in there, it can cause all sorts of physical problems there. Yeah. I suffered with candida and thrush since I was the age of 8, because I clamped down on that whole center. But what's so cool about, I'm so into the sacral right now, as you might be able to tell. But for me, it's like for especially a woman's body, this is where our womb is. Like we can actually grow life, and I see this as like the center of creation. It's like, oh my God, we can create everything from the center. We can create human lives, but we can also create everything and anything. I think we're so magical, and for me it's like really tapping into that magical wisdom that maybe we shut off from a long time ago, or it hadn't felt safe, or maybe it felt too much, or and reconnecting to it. And it feels very much like that divine feminine wisdom and accessing that.
Yeah, and it's so important to access that in order to come down to the base to manifest it, because it's basically from that feeling body. The feeling body is so important because it goes out into the world and broadcasts exactly what we're feeling, and it doesn't lie, does it? I mean, we could say what we think we're feeling, what we hope we're feeling, but like literally this energy goes out into the world and broadcasts what we're actually feeling, and that's basically what creates a magnet for that to show up in 3D form for us, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So when we move up to the solar plexus, the solar plexus is really about our personal power. It's really about how we perceive ourselves in the world, like our identity, our personality, how we actually show up in physical form and present ourselves to the world. And when it comes to abundance, there's so many aspects of that can get shut down. I always kind of like reference the really loud child in a really quiet family. It's like, shut up, calm it down, shut up. Or like the really quiet child in a booming voiced family where it's like, you must speak up more, you must be more, you must, and that center can actually be so much at odds. And when it comes then to our abundance, we have no idea what abundance is when we've got that kind of like layering on, what we should be, what we should do, how we should feel, sort of thing. So speak to that in terms of abundance.
Yeah, God, it's really important and incredibly powerful. And I see this as about exactly what you're saying. So claiming your space in the world, and allowing yourself to be that powerful, allowing yourself to connect to your power in the way that it is for you. Like you said, it could be this big, booming, loud voice, but it could also be a very quiet voice.
Yes. And
sometimes when I'm working with people, their power is like the most sensitive, high vibration energy ever that feels like a fawn or something, but it's extraordinarily powerful. Or the boom, that fire kind of action energy. And I think it's so true about finding yourself and what's your truth and how does your power want to express itself in the world. And especially as women, I think, and actually men as well, but it hasn't somehow felt safe to be really powerful, and that it's not okay. And so this has definitely been my personal journey as well, and supporting other women to really feel like it's okay and safe to connect to their power, and you can be a powerful woman in the world. Yes. And I think it seems like there's a lot of fears around connecting to that energy, that maybe people might not like you. Like there might be this sort of fear of rejection, or this fear of attack, like you're somehow going to be taken down if you're too much, too big, too powerful. Yeah. So it's a huge one, especially for the sensitives, isn't it? Because I find that's where we can hold so much of this kind of shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we're like, don't know where we are and all that energy around us.
Yeah, and also the dynamics. I feel like the dynamics around us can play so much into that, because a lot of, us not allowing ourselves to take up our full space. Is that sense of habitually doing that kind of closing down thing. So we make ourselves as small as possible and unseen as possible sometimes, you know. So to get to that point where we're actually standing and allowing ourselves to take up our full infinite space.
Big.
I mean, infinite space, you know, is kind of like, yeah, for us to do that, there's a lot of exploration that needs to happen, because there's sometimes like the dynamic where we might have had somebody who was quite powerful and we gave our power to them, and then that becomes a habitual giving of our power away. And then once we actually change a backdrop of that, sometimes then our own backdrop changes, because it means that, you know, we have to actually change the dynamic that we had with these people previously. There's a lot of kind of self work and evaluation and feeling work that comes with the solar plexus, definitely, but for self, you know.
Absolutely, and I'm kind of getting these images, all the cords and ties, and all the ways that you can drain your power.
Yes.
I think that really does affect our abundance, because if you're giving your energy away,
yes,
it's like you're draining yourself. So there's a big kind of boundaries thing there, isn't there, about learning how to love yourself with really clear boundaries. That's true for you, and that's what each and every one of us are completely unique. And our boundaries might shift and change depending on where we're at and which person we're interacting with.
Yeah.
But how to do that in a way that doesn't create tension and tightness, you know? So it is a dance, I think, to figure out.
It's such a dance. And sometimes when I reference that, I actually reference the kind of like energy that flows sort of vertically. Because we've been taught to flow energy this way. And sometimes we don't connect to that vertical energy of like honing in and really grounding ourselves first and really deciding what we want. And then, you know, a lot of times we do this and then the world comes in with all these things, and that's giving our power away, because then it's kind of like we can't even hear our own voice because there's so many other voices going on around us. So yeah, it's really coming back to our own abundance of like really planting and rooting, isn't it?
Yeah, well said. That's so important, because that's what everyone's pushing energy out, or you know, there's so much that goes on the solar plexus. Isn't it? It's kind of a busy place. But that's so important. Yeah, connecting to source, filling your pot up, being filled up, so then you really know where to put your energy, where not to put your energy, and not just bursting out and drain. Like I used to really burn myself out all the time, because it was all just like energy going out the whole time. But got to fill in, don't we? We've got to recharge and reconnect.
And also, you know, for me, that particular energy center, because I grew up really in a world where there was always a lot of outward looking, like what do people think? How do people feel? Like, you know, what's my place in terms of other people? You know, what's my place in terms of this group kind of thing? And really that sort of sense of actually bringing it in first and getting a sense of where I am and what's going on with me first, before that kind of like sense of you know, reaching outwards, has been a lesson that I've had to learn, a really powerful lesson that I've had to learn, because that, exactly what you're talking about, draining energy, that's what was draining my energy, that sense of looking out before first kind of really tapping in. So yeah, and that's always something that's running, isn't it? It's kind of like we're always coming back to that in some way, shape or form, really.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, we could talk about the solar plexus.
I know, the solar plexus is a big one. The solar plexus holds a lot, because the solar plexus is our sense of presence, you know, and it's a sense of how we're showing up and what we're taking responsibility for in showing up. But when we move up to the heart chakra, and we move up to the heart with abundance, and the abundance of unconditional love, and the abundance of connecting to love, what comes up with you there?
Yeah, just a beautiful kind of heart-opening gush of love into the world when it's allowed to fully express itself. Yeah, the expression of love and our true essence. What about for you? What comes? I just got really quiet there. I was like, It's just not good.
It is such a feeling, isn't it? It's like unconditional love is such a feeling that does exactly that. It's kind of, it takes your words away because there are really no words to describe it, but then yet we still have to communicate it in some way, shape, or form at times. And the communication could be outwards in terms of like what we show people, what we do for people. But for a lot of people, that's not enough. We have to like find the words. So it's really, but the heart center is exactly that. It silences you because it's so incredibly powerful. And when you really tap into it and you really feel it, yeah, there's nothing to describe it. There's no words get really clumsy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I just like suddenly had no words.
But it's kind of interesting, you know, like with the abundance, it's like I find a lot of people, the heart chakra is one of those that people feel like they want to protect their hearts because we have so many ways of referencing love. And when somebody says, I love you, but it's really spiky, or they say, I love you, but I only love you because if you do this or that, or I love you, but you must be this person all the time. It kind of like puts so much pressure that people become scared of what love means, you know? And then it's kind of like a real big question mark on what is unconditional love.
It's such a good question. And I'm not sure that we really experience unconditional love on this planet very often. I mean, I see it really clearly in nature. I see it really clearly in animals. I think humans, it's a little bit more complicated, this thing we call love. So I think it's about, really connecting to what that is for you. And I know I've had so much heart protection that I've had to work through, and this willingness to just share my love in the world. But there's a fear that comes with that, because, for me, it was like fear of being hurt, or a fear, I don't know, there's just so much of it's so vulnerable, isn't it? It's so kind of sensitive and yet so powerful. Reminds me, I have a beautiful rose that's incredibly beautiful, but it is also quite delicate, but also very powerful at the same time.
And one of the things that I've actually felt with a heart, and that's really allowed me, because unconditional love, although it's clumsy for the human, I feel, and when I say the human, I put myself in that category as well. It's like, I'm not talking about the human out there, it's like the human here. But like, it can be really clumsy for human beings because like literally, it feels really vulnerable. But one of the things that actually has helped me is to understand that the divine is in all, and to really come back and snap back and remind, especially when what's on the outside is not looking like divine at all. Like it looks like the opposite of what how does the divine show up in that way, But like literally to really bring it back to actually, I don't have all the answers, but what I do know is that the divine is in all things, brings that level of unconditionality into it. And unconditionality for me also says as well, I love you to let you be you, but it doesn't mean that I have to be with you all the time if that's what you want to be. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like sometimes people get a little bit kind of, that could be really hard to do, to actually say, I love you enough, but I love myself enough also to walk away. That can be quite hard.
I guess that's the balance of the boundaries, isn't it? It's sort of ideally acceptance.
Yes.
Love and acceptance, but also, loving yourself in that, so that you can also create healthy boundaries. That's another dance, isn't it? It's not easy, but and trying to not shut the heart down. So for me, my practice is like, I'm going, if I feel my heart clamp down again, I'm like, okay, would you be willing just to open up again and just show up in your love and show up in your vulnerability, even if there's all this kind of weird dynamics going on.
Right. Yeah. And that's a constant reminder. I mean, basically, that's kind of sometimes a second to second reminder of where is love here? Am I being loving? Am I being love? And really coming back to that. Coming back to our own divinity, because when we talk about divinity, we're really talking about love. Yeah.
And I think actually the thing that I'm getting more and more and more is the importance of self-love. Because
Yes.
we're so taught about how to like give unconditional love to everyone else and put it out, but actually I think the most important practice I find is actually giving it to yourself and being loving and kind to yourself. And so many people, myself included, find that really hard sometimes.
Yeah.
And so how do you give yourself that abundance of love, unconditional love and acceptance?
Yeah.
And oh my God, the power of that. And that, I think, really opens the floodgate to abundance and financial abundance as well.
Yeah.
Because that's allowing you to connect to source, which is abundance.
Yeah.
And if we're able to give that to ourselves, I feel that just opens the floodgates. And when you have it in it, then it can really go out into the world. So I see so many people who are so kind and so giving and so caring to others, but they're not returning that to themselves.
Yeah.
So then it's like, I think it's got to start inside first, I feel.
It's really interesting. Somebody did something once, and I can't even remember where I actually saw it, but it really hit home. He had this stage, and it was it was about sort of like the conversation was about expansion and personal development and healing, and he'd actually put this woman on stage. And he'd said to her, and I think there was like about 2,000 people in a room sort of thing, and he said to her, stand on stage and let people applaud you and send you love. And the instant reaction to that was one of caving, like, I can't do, And it really made me think, and also it made me think to put that into a meditation, like a meditation form of like really putting yourself on a center stage and maybe somewhere like Wembley or something, and just standing there and allowing love to be reflected and stand your ground and accept and receive. Because receiving is such a big thing for a lot of us, and we don't always recognize that the receiving piece is lacking,
Yes. Oh, it's huge. Yeah. It's a huge piece. That's such a great exercise, Tash. I'm going to practice.
Yeah. It gives you fuzzy heart, definitely. Yeah. How much can you hold is always a question mark. How much can you allow in? How much can you hold? How much can you, So yeah, that is a powerful exercise, definitely. Moving up to the throat chakra, and the throat chakra is always, for me, informed so much by what's going on with the heart. When we allow the heart to open, when we allow ourselves to feel the abundance of the heart, the throat chakra flows, our expression flows, our truth flows, and we allow ourselves to be our truth. But as soon as we've got that clamping down, and that becomes an issue, it's kind of like, yeah. But when you think of abundance in the throat, what comes up for you there?
It's interesting. This has been one of it. You see how crazy long my neck is? This has been like my area. This is my spot. Actually, they're all my spots.
Yeah. But you actually studied, like you did the whole actress thing. And basically for me, whenever I meet actors, I'm always really envious of all the exercises that they've done to meet themselves in the throat chakra and the expression zone. So yeah, that's a really interesting one with you, definitely.
Yeah, and it's very much been my part of my path is really unlocking this center. But for me, this is about the expression of who we truly are, the expression of our truth.
Yes.
And for me, the truth of who we are is total abundance, because it's the expression of our soul, which is tapped into this infinite wisdom and energy. And it's longing to express itself. And that could be obviously through acting and singing and speaking, but this is about being. This is about an energy that you be. And you could say nothing and be totally expressing your truth in the world and communicating your truth without words even. And for me, this is like such a massive piece. It's about sharing and expressing your truth in the world. And I think when we do that, we're accessing our abundance because it's all interconnected. Who you are is connected to the abundance, which is the truth of source, and it's all a big dance again. So, and this is, for nothing else, just for yourself, for why you've come here on this planet to express the truth of who you are. But I also know that when you do that, when you move and speak from your truth, that you're going to be impacting the world around you as well. And it's this beautiful giving and receiving that happens. That's what comes up for me. What comes up for you about the throat chakra and abundance, Tash?
The throat is always one of those for me. It's kind of it doesn't always come naturally for me to actually really be vulnerable and to speak my truth in the world in a way that actually I still have an ego around that that says to me like, oh, you don't want to look like a complete bollock, or you don't want to look like a complete ass with this. So like basically there's a reeling back thing, and I noticed that in myself, that kind of like not wanting always to be vulnerable, not wanting to just stand and show up and be what I'm being. And that is a practice that I'm continuously learning to open the throat chakra with regards to that. And, you know, I can pinpoint all these different ways that that's happened for me, like because the throat also really taps into the solar plexus and that giving your power away. When you give your power away to others, you do give your truth away to others as well, because you make their truth your truth. And regardless of what you're feeling in the zone, do you know what I mean? So yeah, then coming back to that is, for me, it's been like a constant reiterative work, basically.
Wow, so powerful. And for me, this has been, you know, I think one of the big, well, they've all been challenges in different ways, but yeah, like this feeling, again, like this truth is almost like, for me, there wasn't really a place, if there wasn't a place for it. Like my truth often feels like about like a 5-year-old really overexcited little kid, and it's like, it's too much. You know, if you're a child, like, sit down, be still, shut up. And so I feel like mine wants to go, blah, you know? And it would be like, she's too much, she's too crazy, she's too blah, 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 she has too much to say, or whatever. And so mine, like, you know, would manifest this kind of pain in my neck when I kind of clamp it. And I'm, okay, no, hold it down. Hold it down. And actually, the truth is, it wants to go, bah! It has so much to say, and it's a big energy, and also it's very quiet and shy too, as well as being loud at times. But yeah, so it's sort of like every day, actually, I say, hey, would you be willing just to like truth out? And then I'm like, okay, I can create a bit more space in the neck, and so I think it's a massive one. And we're not taught that it's okay to just be our truth and speak our truth, especially in England. Like there's a real throat chakra thing, eh? So it's a big one, but so important.
So when we think about the third eye, because actually the both of us have that, I feel, and anybody at the moment that's operating in this time, bringing messages through, the downloads are powerful right now. You know, there's so many things that inspiration, ideas, thoughts, really kind of like clear things that you're not seeing in the world, but yet have to be manifested through you. And all these ways, you know, that are coming forward at the moment. When you think of abundance and you think of the third eye, what comes up with that for you?
I guess for me, what comes up with that is vision. And for me, it's about anchoring a big vision that I see clairvoyantly and trying to bring that onto the planet Earth. And I feel like that's sort of part of my mission. It's like, how do we reconnect to this source of energy, the truth of who we are, and bring it into our physical experience? And so for me, I see, like, that's part of, I would call myself a visionary. I have big visions. I can see what's possible on this planet. It's like another paradigm almost. And I'm shown what's possible all the time. I see what's possible people's souls. I see people's souls and who they truly are and what's possible all the time. So it's big vision. It's beautiful, and it's so simple, and it's just magnificent. And for me, because that's always been my strength, is all the upper stuff. It's like, that's great. It doesn't really do much good if we're not really able to anchor it. So we go back to the base. But for me, it's sort of, that's my like the instructions of, like, I'm being shown. It's like the map. Okay, Lara, here it is on the map. This is what's possible. Almost like the instructions of how to get someplace. I've never described it like that before, but that's how it's showing itself right now.
It's amazing, isn't it? Because when you were speaking then, and I was seeing what you were saying about like the big vision and basically how do you root it. it feels like the energy flows down really easily, but it's almost like I was seeing like a dam, like, you know, when you have to create like space for the energy to flow through.
Yeah.
And the space that we create is all the conditions and the thoughts and the beliefs that actually keep the space really sort of like tight and crammed.
Yes.
So we only allow a trickle to come through. And that's where, you know, and it's not, I don't think it's only energy workers. I think I always say to people, like, I feel every adult being should spend some time clearing out and really tuning in to the bottom three chakras and their conditioning and what serves them and what doesn't serve them. Because as a planet, I feel like we all have the responsibility to do that, to rise as a human race, you know, not just as individuals. And however that responsibility comes up for people, you know, it's their walk, their what resonates. But I feel like we all do.
You know, when you were talking about this tight space, I'm getting this image of the birth canal. When a baby's born, it kind of, well, at first it's like a concept or this idea, and then it gets in there quite easily. Yeah. And then it grows and grows and grows, and then needs to be birthed and kind of gets squeezed through.
Yes.
And I feel that it's like kind of, sometimes I feel like, oh my God, we're trying to take this massive, expensive thing and sort of squeezing it into this physical form.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what just the image that was coming to me. It's like birth. It's birthing big vision. It's birthing yourself. And yeah, bringing it into the world, ideally.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, it's almost like watching a movie or something, isn't it? With the third eye, like what we're shown, what's possible. We're shown images or visuals, or getting a sense of. Well, that's how it comes to me, anyways.
Yeah.
Tapping in, being shown source and what's possible for the planet, and then birthing it into the world.
Yes. So when we actually then speak of the abundance that comes through the crown, because the crown is our sense of universality, is our sense of oneness. It's also that sense that actually drops down into the heart to teach us of what unconditional love is, because the crown says to us, there's no separation, there's no division. And it's the crown that then informs the heart to say to you, this is what unconditional love means. It means that you are me and I am you. You know, and there is no separation. And for me, that is a lesson that we're all, I feel, that is a human walk in its entirety, to learn that lesson really fully, that we embody it. Mm. But when you feel like the abundance of the energy that comes through the crown, what comes up for you then?
Well, for me, this is like just total play. And again, we're sort of playing with creation. But that this is, for me, where I get told what to do.
Yes.
It's like, this is how you do it, Lara. You're asking for abundance, or you're asking for anything you want to manifest in your life. This is where the answers come.
Yeah.
And, you know, you could call it tapping into your intuition, although your intuition does speak through all the different clairs, is what you like to call it. Yeah. But it's your direct line to source, isn't it? And so for me, this is how all the answers come. So when we're asking for abundance, okay, like, here it is. Here's how you do it. It's just total unconditional love. And for me, I really experience that, the kind of divine masculine energy. That's sort of how I experience it. But yeah, who just loves you, who can see 360 degrees of everything, give you clarity, insight. So yeah, anytime I have a challenge or a trigger or anything comes up where I get kind of clamped down, or things aren't flowing, that's where I go for my wisdom and instructions, and go, okay, what the heck's going on, and what do I need to do? And then I get, I get shown it visually, or just with an inner knowing.
Yes.
So this is like, for me, everything. I would be very lost without this connection.
Yeah.
And how to create ease in our life, how to create ease in our business, in our relationships. For me, there's always just the most beautiful simplicity, clarity, ease with the information that comes through from that place. It's never, there's no drama, there's emotion, it's very neutral, no judgment.
Yes, yeah.
So it's a beautiful, beautiful.
And that's a beautiful part of what you do actually, is bringing that grace and ease into things that can actually sometimes feel a little bit dense. I mean, when we talk about money, for a lot of people, money can be quite a dense, heartburn kind of subject. So
Yeah.
to actually bring grace and ease in the midst of that is so important. Even to know that it's possible to have grace and ease in the midst of that is so important, isn't it?
It is. Trust me, I go into drama. I go
Yeah.
into pain and suffering unnecessarily. But this is like I have direct line to source that just tells me all the time what to do.
Yeah.
Tells me the truth about money. Tells me the truth about all this stuff,
Yeah.
and reminds me every day. Okay,
Yeah.
Laura, cut all that crap out. But basically, it's like, could you just step into ease, step
Yes.
into joy, step into happiness, step into love,
Yes.
and this thing flow. We're here. It's like we're all here waiting to just gift you everything you want.
Yes.
And we just have to get out of the way. So that's what I see. Is just there is like abundance is our true state. It's the true state of the universe. There's no lack. There's no limitation. There's no separation.
Yes.
And we just need to clear these channels to let that flow through. And that's the journey. And that's what's so amazing, I think, about working on abundance, is specifically working on welcoming more money, because it shows up all the areas that you block it.
Yeah.
So it's an incredible vehicle. Well, manifesting anything, but I find money somehow digs into some of those places we might not want to visit.
Yes.
It seems to highlight
Yes.
everywhere we're blocking, getting in the way. And so it's an amazing vehicle for like self-discovery and self-development as well.
Yeah. And also that sense we were talking about, where we take up this really tiny, tiny space. And we're actually this, do you know? But we're kind of like rolled up in a little ball. It's kind of.
Things don't work very well from that place. It makes it very hard to function when we're all like cramped up.
Yes.
So actually, when we allow ourselves to really step in and really tap in and connect to that flow, things actually can flow with greater ease. It really does. So I know that when I move out of flow, when things are getting difficult or challenging, I know I've gone someplace, I've clamped down, someplace I've gone into tension, someplace I've fallen out of the flow.
Yeah.
So for me, I know I'm in flow when there's ease and when there's joy and when there's this simplicity and peace.
Yeah.
And if it's not that, then something's gone out of alignment. That's how I kind of.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful, because that is really tapping in. Lara, I love you to pieces. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your presence and your beauty today. And thanks for lending your wisdom and your presence and your beauty to Chakra Alchemy. So much love.
It's my great pleasure. Thank you so much.